Hey everybody, how's it going? Icy Cat here. Today we've got another new trailer, or two in fact, from Ubisoft regarding the new Outbreak mode. We've also been given an official breakdown on the multiple types of creatures we'll be encountering and what they can do. So to find out more, stick around as we talk about it next.
God damn, Hoss. Where'd you dig that relic up?
From under a lot of dead bodies. And they all look surprised. Same joke every goddamn time.
Tell me this thing is contained?
For now, but it's adapting faster than we can track. We upped the ordnance, and it created this thing.
What happens if it gets loose?
Mexico's south of us. Breaks quarantine and crosses the border. World's in for one long, bad night.
What about nuking the town?
Huh.
What? Wouldn't be the first time we used a nuke in New Mexico.
It's on the table, but we're here to make sure that it stays a last resort. Operatives are already on the field.
Are these our hot zone specialists?
Six has an eye for talent, and we need all the help we can get. This is where we turn the tide. Or drown.
Okay, so that was the full trailer in its entirety, sort of. I'll get to that in just a minute. But one of the interesting things we can see there is that as they were talking and going through, we found out a few pieces of information. First, we had that mystery image that popped up in the Rainbow Six Invitational promo that I talked about in yesterday's video. We had the three operators there. We had Ash and Thermite with his face reveal, and in the background, we weren't real sure about who was there. I thought maybe it was Tachanka without his helmet on because he does have that full face mask on underneath, but I wasn't sure what we were seeing on the waist there, those two circular objects with the lights on them. What were they? We weren't really sure. And now in this trailer we can see not only was Tachanka wearing it, but so was Thermite. This appears to be some kind of a respirator unit for going out into the infected area, so this allows them to breathe and maybe not take in the parasitic infection or any other kind of dangerous chemicals or gases that might be in the area. This does go hand in hand with the whole biohazard suit feel that the two new operators, Lion and Finko, will be wearing. Speaking of those two operators, we do get a brief glimpse of their dossiers laid out on the table so you can see what their names and their face reveals look like for a brief moment there. All in all, the trailer is very well done and cinematic, getting us very excited for the new mode. But there's an interesting secret here. This is not actually the full cut of the trailer. Now what I'm going to do is play for you the Russian version of this trailer that has an extra deleted scene that shows Doc while he's doing a dissection on one of the arms of the infected creatures and explains a little bit about what's going on.
God damn, Hoss. Where'd you dig that relic up?
From under a lot of dead bodies. And they all look surprised. Same joke every goddamn time.
Sorry. Doc, you were saying?
The coil reinforces bones, grows like a carapace of armor on the skin.
Jesus.
In other words, it makes monsters.
Thanks, Doc.
Tell me this thing is contained?
For now, but it's adapting faster than we can track. We upped the ordnance, and it created this thing.
What happens if it gets loose?
Mexico's south of us. Breaks quarantine and crosses the border. World's in for one long, bad night.
What about nuking the town?
Huh.
What? Wouldn't be the first time we used a nuke in New Mexico.
It's on the table, but we're here to make sure that it stays a last resort. Operatives are already on the field.
Are these our hot zone specialists?
Six has an eye for talent, and we need all the help we can get. This is where we turn the tide. Or drown.
Okay, so there you go. The Russian version of the trailer has this extra information in it that's really interesting. At this time, that is not available in the other versions of the trailer. Now, they may make that available like the full extended release trailer as time goes on, but as of this moment, the Russian trailer was the only one that had this extra information. So we get a little bit of a look at Doc as he's kind of doing like this dissection on the arm. He's cutting into the tissue, talking about how it creates like this extra density where the skin becomes like a passive sort of an armor, and then it reacts to him as he's slicing into it by like sprouting up. He calls them like these coral spikes. They come right out of the skin in response to what he's doing. And he says that their goal is to make more monsters. So we've got some really interesting information there and how Ubisoft decided to split that up into multiple trailers based on the region. Was this something that they did on purpose? Sort of an intentional Easter egg nod to the Russian tie-in that is involved with the Outbreak leak, you know, how that capsule with the USSR markings on it crashed down and somehow spread out from that, the tie-in with the Russian operators. Was that kind of an Easter egg specifically for that region of the world, or was that just sort of a release that got mixed up and it was actually supposed to be this all along for the other regions too? It's not really clear. But regardless, we have two versions of the trailer. Now let's talk about the other information. This is available on the Ubisoft News blog website. I will put the link for that in the description below the video player. And here we can see it says, infected details. A parasite caused a surge of violence and chaos in the small town of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Today we are revealing the details of the 5 lethal profiles of infected resulting from this outbreak. As a strike team of 3 Rainbow operators, you will venture deep into the quarantine zone to identify the source of the outbreak. The parasite has altered the bodies of the infected with abilities that outmatch humans' defense mechanisms. To succeed, you will have to eliminate the 5 following lethal profiles. First up is Grunts. Grunts are common hostiles that become highly resistant when the parasite detects an enemy presence. To protect its host, the parasite armors its body and becomes more resistant to bullet wounds. Caution and stealth is recommended. Then we go on to Breachers. Breachers are proximity bombs that crater anything in their path. They make for a very agile opponent, but they launch themselves into the fray and blow holes in destructible walls. Make sure you're nowhere close to them. So those sound like the alien zombie equivalent of bombers. Next is Rooters. Rooters are a rare type of hostile. They send out coral spikes from the ground to injure and immobilize their targets. Rooters are always on the move and will keep you on edge. Beware when dealing them the final blow. They become extremely lethal when on the brink of death. So it sounds like they have, when they're close to death, some kind of like a special defense mechanism that will get triggered. The next type are Smashers. Smashers are not discreet. The parasite reinforces its body under a massively thick hide, making it practically impervious to bullet wounds. They will also tear down walls without suffering any injuries. Now, I think the Smasher is actually what we saw on the image at the top of the page here. These sound like brutes or juggernauts. They can just take a lot of punishment by the sound of it. The final category is Apex. Apex is at the top of the hostile food chain. It sends waves of hostiles your way rather than attack you head on. They can hurl blinding projectiles, which can only be countered by Finka and Doc. This opponent is a real test on your team's communication skills. So not only does he have some kind of a special ranged attack that will blind you in some way, and it sounds like either Finka or Doc are going to be especially useful in being able to counteract that problem when it occurs, but it also sounds like this is sort of like a leadership cast within the alien hierarchy. So perhaps this is somebody, by the sound of it, that might be able to keep reinforcements sort of coming into an area until it's dealt with. That would make these particularly challenging because as you're trying to fight off the main creature, you're also getting, possibly a wide variety of other creatures coming in to deal with you, maybe summoning some kind of hordes of grunts or something like that. We'll have to wait and see more, but it sounds like he can call for reinforcements. Finally, it says, lastly, keep in mind that the hostiles will combine their abilities to eliminate you. Team Rainbow has now arrived at the quarantine zone. Suit up and get your gear ready. Outbreak is about to start. And then it gives some info on how to keep on top of other releases that they'll be giving you. We'll be seeing something coming out at the Rainbow Six Invitational that'll go into this in more detail. Also the UB blog posts and the news update site and some things like that. So there's a lot of ways to look for info as it's coming out. So there you go. We have a new teaser trailer as well as an extended version of that trailer giving us more information and a breakdown on the 5 new zombie types that we'll be facing in the Outbreak mode when it releases. There's going to be a lot of exciting news and information coming. Next week, we're anticipating the Operator teaser trailer videos that will be coming for both Lion and Finka. We may also be getting some kind of info on the new map or something. Typically, this is the time where they would tease the new map trailer. However, we're not getting an actual new map this time, other than the maps that are specific to the Outbreak mode, but we're not getting like the new PvP map. but generally that week before is where they might tease the new map that we would be getting, so we might be getting a tease of what the Outbreak map or level design might look like in the coming week as well. Then of course we'll have the Rainbow Six Invitational, which will have a lot of information on what we can expect, followed closely by the technical test server where we can actually get some hands-on time with some of the new content. So in the coming week or two, we are going to have a lot of new information regarding Mission Outbreak as well as Operation Chimera and the new operators. So if you want to stay up to date on the latest info, please do like and subscribe. Make sure you click that notification icon so you're alerted as soon as I make new content available. You can also follow me over at IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.